Before we get into our first session, I'd like to ask one question. Take a second to introduce who you are. Familiarity is typically the best start. Hey everybody, I'm Dominic Gatsby. Hey everybody, sorry I'm late. I'm Clyde Barrow. Good evening. I'm Zay. What's up? I'm Zeke. Mr. Gatsby, without speaking commercially, convey your message to Parker, to me. As long as there's an eternity, I'll love her with complete certainty. Not a promise of capability, how I am developed inadvertently. It seems weak the belief of love without condition, commonly romanticized, yet seen as fiction. And if it's not literal death, the truthfulness is shrouded in societal suspicion. But I don't need to lose you to validate my love's retention. I have to live life in emotional honesty. Embrace what I know God put in my heart to be, instead of risk losing the gift of our eternity, either being engrossed in the pain, waking up yelling, trying to fend off the disdain. And remember the times you explained that no matter how far you feigned, I couldn't escape your brain. That could be an emotional execution if you stay. You need this death every day, if the only other option is to give up on what we've prayed. Label me as addicted to toxicity and handicapped by sensitivity for not relying visually and choosing to bet everything on what we admitted spiritually. Dub me a prisoner of emotional honesty, so long as I'm not living in the arms of mediocrity, building foundations with falsehoods, settling for less than what's already understood, listening to the standards of adulthood instead of following what we know is good. It's going to hurt either way. Might as well be honest in the midst of the fray. Where do you feel you most struggle? The areas that give you most trouble. What's always been most difficult is remaining faithful to my spirit regardless of the cynical. Like when society claims that love's unique, yet advice is given as if we're all identical. It was our journey that made us each other's spiritual pinnacles. But in the moment of darkness, people claim that those types are plentiful. Even if we got to the point where everything turns into something debatable, I still acknowledge what I am, even when the circumstances are less than favorable. On these pillows, I can feel the saturation, from nights most consumed by the state of our relation. Admittedly, more than once, I cried until I lost all my hydration. In our own admissions, this love surpassed infatuation, from constantly in the process of maturation to an emotionally riveted and fear-laden situation. To help me make a full evaluation, as if I'm her, tell me what's a typical week by your calculation. Sunday, I'm your growth foundation. Monday, I'm stunting your elevation. Tuesday, you feel our love is priceless. Wednesday, it's suffocating, you feel lifeless. Thursday, you say we were made as the other's treasure. Friday, you're overwhelmed with pressure. Have you considered her struggle with being a black woman in a male-dominant society? Not until she understood and explained the intricacy, trying to establish professional and balance the emotional complexities without feeling anything less than my equal entity. She's half afraid that she's relinquishing her strong feminist identity by allowing herself to fully give in to me. And we both know she finds comfort in the fact that I'm happiest when I see her succeed. You're constantly searching for this woman you've already become, the heroine inside and everything she's done. Constantly finding new challenges and taking the plunge, success in demolishing barriers no matter with whom you're among. Looking at you, I can see her reflection in your eyes. When is the point when you think all of your trust has been used, and you start thinking that your souls are no longer infused? When you love each other, but you just don't know what to do? And at what point do you get out of love's queue? When the existence of God is through? When time collapses and the heavens change everything about myself I knew to be true? And we're so old and I'm too weak to help but tie her shoes. Up to and not a moment before the day God takes her out of my view. Precisely what I wanted to hear from you. Knowing it's your soul and not something you conscious or subconsciously choose. I'd like to complete this first phase of these points of view before going too far down any avenue. With that being said, Mr. Barrow, let's continue.